Hi, I'm Eric Siegel with ericstrains.com. Today we're going to be checking out the new command control equipped Rotary Snowplow from Lionel. Alright, one of my favorite things is when Lionel takes a post-war classic and outfits it with 21st century technology, and that's what they've done here. Now, of course, this Rotary Snowplow is a remake of the classic number 58 Great Northern Rotary Snowplow that Lionel made between 1959 and 1961. Now, of course, the original number 58 was done in a Great Northern paint scheme, and this one is not. This time around, Lionel did not do a Great Northern paint scheme. I'm not sure why, but instead they chose to do Rio Grande, Pensy, and a North Pole paint scheme. And of course, as you can see, I've got the Rio Grande version here. However, Rio Grande does figure into the Lionel post-war snowplow story. Prior to the release of the number 58 in 1959, Lionel released the number 53 Rio Grande snowplow in 1957, which was essentially the same, except instead of a rotary snowplow mechanism up front like you see here, it had a simple plastic plow attachment instead. Now, for those of you who know about the original number 53, you know that if you've got one that has a forward-facing A, like we have here, you've got a very rare and collectible piece, because due to a production error, most of the number 53s were made with a backwards A instead. Now, I could keep on talking about the number 53 for a while, and if Lionel ever makes a command control reproduction of the number 53, I'll do that. But for now, let's focus on the number 58 and the reproduction that we have here. So the number 58 has become very collectible. If you can find one on eBay or anywhere else, you'll usually pay well over $100 for one that's in good shape. And so because of its collectability, Lionel has done several reissues of the rotary snowplow over the years. And so now we've got this one. The difference is that they've outfitted this one with TMCC command control. So now we've got a post-war classic with all the technology of the 21st century. And that means that you can run one of these things on a command control equipped layout like mine. So what we're going to do is go over some stats on this model, then we'll take a quick look at some of the details. After that, we'll power it up, I'll show you how to run it, and then we will quite literally take this thing for a spin around the layout. So the length of this model is just over 7.5 inches. The weight is 1 pound 10 ounces. When it comes to pulling power, it's kind of a moot point here because you're not going to be pulling a big train with this thing, but it does have a coupler on one end, so I did go ahead and measure the pulling power, which came in at 8 ounces, which is actually not too bad considering how small this thing is. But still, I wouldn't expect to be able to pull more than 2, 3, 4 cars at most. And then finally, because this is based on a post-war motorized unit, the minimum curve needed to operate this item is 0.27. So that means you can run this on just about any layout out there. On the inside, this model is driven by a DC can motor. There is no sound system on board, but you will find the electronics for TMCC command control. Now, if we look at the details on this model, it's very simple, just like its post-war counterpart, and this is a pretty good replica of the post-war number 58. I don't know if they used the original tooling. They probably did. I'm sure it's different in a couple places, but overall, it's pretty much the same. So down here we have the wheels. These are all die-cast metal, of course, and we've got some nice drive gear here. And there's a little bit of detailing in between the wheels. It's not bad. And then we've got these metal steps on the end. Right here, you can see we've got some nice safety striping. The logo here is nice and crisp. We've got some metal handrails. Very basic. It's 0.27 post-war all the way. You're not going to get scale accurate details or anything like that. We've got the Lionel name molded into the plastic here. We've got some nice molded in vents and so forth. And then around the cab, we've got some rivet details and a nice silver window here. There are no inserts in the windows, just like the post-war counterpart. Here on the business end, we've got the rotary plow mechanism, which does spin. It's connected to an independent motor, and it can be activated or deactivated from the TMCC or legacy remote. Now, the way these things would work in the real world is that they would run the plow down the track, and any snow in front of the plow would be sucked up into these blades and shot out the top up here, and then it would go over to the side of the track and out of the way of any trains. Now, you may be wondering what this swirl is all about. You'll see these sometimes on jet engines, on passenger planes. The next time you're on a plane, look at the engines, and you'll see one of these swirls. And the purpose is so that at a glance, you can tell whether or not the blades are spinning. Because when these things are spinning really fast in real life, it can be hard to tell at a glance or at a distance whether they're spinning or not. And so this swirl allows you to do that at a glance very easily. Above that, we've got the headlight, and this thing actually does have directional lighting. So when you're going forward, this light will be on, and when you change directions, this light will turn off, and the light on the back of the plow will turn on. And speaking of the back of the plow, let's take a look at that now. So on the back down here, we've got a little step, and then there's an electrocoupler right here that can be thrown from the Legacy or TMCC remote. Now, I know it's kind of dark down here and it may be hard to see, and I've actually gotten some feedback from viewers asking me to light this stuff better down here. So without further ado, here is some light. There's not much to see, but you can see the step there on the bottom and the electrocoupler. Moving up, we've got some more of these very basic handrails. We've got some nice safety striping and some molded in details. There's more windows on the back, and here is the backup light. And then right here is the run program switch that allows you to program this thing into your Legacy or TMCC remote. Up on top, here you can see the rest of the rotary plow mechanism. And like I said, the way these worked is that the blades would spin, and the snow would be ejected out of this hatch, and it would shoot over to the side of the track. So there it is. You can see we've got some molded in steps here. It's not bad. And then, as we look at the rest of the top, we've got a little bell here. The smokestack is right here. Back here, we've got some more windows on the front. And then up on the roof, we've got some nice rivet detailing. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to operate this thing, and because the operation is so simple, I'm actually going to show you the entire process from start to finish. And so hopefully that will help some of you newcomers understand a little bit more about how TMCC/Legacy operates. So the first thing I want to do is to program our plow here into the Legacy remote. I'm running Legacy on my layout. If you've got TMCC, it works basically the same way. There are a few minor differences, but you can read about those in the instruction manual that comes with the plow when you buy it. TMCC is the older command control system from Lionel. It was later replaced by Legacy, but they are both basically the same system. Legacy is just a little fancier, that's all. So the first thing I want to do is take the plow here, and using the run program switch that I showed you earlier, we're going to pop it into program mode. And now we'll put it back on the track very carefully because I've got power on the track right now. There we go. And now let's power up the Legacy remote. There we go. Now, by default, the plow will have an ID of 1. So if you want to, you can just power up your remote, hit engine 1, and you're good to go. I'm going to give it a new ID because I've got a lot of engines in my fleet, so I need to give it an ID other than 1. So I'm going to give it an ID of 72, and that's just because on my system, slot number 72 happens to be open right now, but you can give it any ID that you want. So I'll hit the engine button, and then 72, and now I'll hit the set key, and when I do that, this light will flash. And that indicates that we have successfully programmed the plow into slot 72. So with that out of the way, we will once again pick up the plow, and now we will pop it back into run mode. And now it's pretty much good to go. So let's see how this thing operates. Now, like I said, the operation is very simple, so you're not going to use most of the keys on the Legacy remote when you operate it. The only numerical keys you're going to use are really the 8 and 9 keys, which control the operation of the plow. 8 turns it off, 9 turns it on. So if I hit 9, it turns the plow on. Simple as that. If I hit 8, it turns it off. Now, one cool thing to note is that if you turn the plow on, and then you change directions with the direction key and go into reverse, the plow will automatically shut off. Because obviously there's no use having the plow on when the plow is going in reverse. But when I go back into forward, the plow will automatically cut back on. That's pretty cool. Now the aux 2 key down here, that will turn the lights on and off if you so desire. And then the rear coupler button will fire the coupler on the back of the plow. So let me show you what that's all about. We'll turn the plow back around. Again, being very careful. Don't want to short it out. There we go. Close the coupler. And now if I hit the rear coupler button, it fires the rear coupler. Simple as that. Now, when it comes time to move the plow either forwards or backwards, well, that's easy as well. You just use the throttle wheel down here. So if I move it like that, it goes forwards. And then if I reverse it with the direction key, now it'll go backwards. And that's all there is to it. And that's basically all there is to running this plow. Now, there are some uses for some of the other keys, but you will probably never use them. But if you want to learn more about them, you can read about them in the instruction manual that comes with the plow when you buy it. But for now, that's it. So what we're going to do is run this thing around the layout for just a few minutes. Okay, so now that I've run this thing for a few minutes, I do have a few extra notes I want to mention. First of all, just a minute ago, you saw the maximum speed of this thing. It doesn't go very fast, but that's okay. It doesn't have to go very fast. It shouldn't go very fast because it's a snowplow. This is not some big road engine highballing down the main line. Its job is to move snow out of the way, and so even though it doesn't go very fast, that's okay for what this is. Secondly, you also saw a minute ago where this thing was pulling an RPO car behind it. That RPO car is made by Atlas, and it's got a pretty good weight to it, and so because of that, the plow was working pretty hard to pull it. It was able to do it, but it was working for it. So the number of cars you can pull with this thing is really going to depend on the size and, more importantly, the weight of the cars. So with a moderately heavy car like that RPO car, you wouldn't want to pull more than one or two of those at most. If you're talking about smaller 027 cars that roll very freely and are very light, well, you may be able to get away with a few more. But again, like I said earlier, you really don't need to do that because this thing is not supposed to be pulling a bunch of cars. If I was running this thing on my layout, I would probably have the plow and then maybe one or two work cars behind it, and that's it. Alright, that about wraps it up for this review. This is a cool little item. You know, it's not to scale, but who cares? It's a lot of fun. This is definitely a modern take on a Lionel classic, and I love it. Now, if you're interested in purchasing one of these, the retail price is right at $280, although if you go through a good Lionel dealer, you should be able to get a bit of a discount off that retail price. And as always, if you're looking for a good Lionel dealer, try my favorite train store, which is Legacy Station. You can find them on the web at www.legacystation.com or give them a call at 770-339-7780. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm Eric Siegel, and I'll see you next time. To discuss this model or any other O-Gauge trains and to meet other O-Gauge modelers, check out the O-Gauge Railroading Magazine online forum at ogrforum.ogaugerr.com.